versus Ryan James Fisk. File 231767 is a trespass case from the city of Sturgis. We'll address that in just a moment. File 231856 is a felony methamphetamine charge. Mr. Fisk is at the St. Joe County Jail. We're connected by the Polycom link. And Mr. Keith Stickley, the Chief Public Defender, is also with us. Mr. Fisk was charged with possession of methamphetamine occurring in the city of Sturgis, allegedly on or about September 6th of 2023. Possession of methamphetamine is a felony punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $15,000, but he's charged as a second offender, making it punishable by up to 20 years in prison. As a third habitual offender, theoretically making it punishable by up to 30 years imprisonment. The matter was set for a pre-exam conference, and the defendant failed to appear. He posted a bond in the amount of 5,000 PR back in October, and he failed to appear. So a bench warrant issued for his arrest, and the new bond is 5,000 cash or surety. I was advised by the clerks that the new pre-exam conference date would be May 14th. That's a Tuesday at 8:30. And if we need a preliminary examination, it will be May 21st at 1 o'clock. I'm going to leave the bond set at 5,000 cash or surety. Mr. Fisk, you may not be aware of this, but apparently your family is making arrangements to post your bond. And so they may be coming later this afternoon to post that $5,000 cash or surety bond. I don't know why you didn't show up, and I'm not going to ask much about it now, although we need to get the case back on track. Mr. Paul Gibson is still your attorney. How'd you come to get arrested last night or this weekend?
I was on the porch fixing a bicycle. A police officer passed me and thought he recognized me. Well, I had a hat and glasses on. So there's
on
no
a
way
Lane Drive or somewhere else?
On Maple Street.
So you didn't go anywhere, but you didn't show up here. The other case is a trespass, which is not a great consequence, but same thing you did there. You pled not guilty at your pretrial, or at your arraignment. We set a pretrial, you didn't show up. I set a show cause hearing to see why you didn't show up, and you didn't show up for that either. So I issued a bench warrant for your arrest on the trespass charge. You don't have an attorney in that case. Trespass is not all that great of a consequence, but it is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $100. Do you wish to continue your plea of not guilty on the trespass?
I have permission to be on the property, sir.
All right, I'll show continue not guilty plea. Let's see here. The trespass was on Clay Street. All right, I'll show a not guilty, set a pretrial, the same time as the PEC for May 14th, 24 at 8:30. the Sturgis or Three Rivers City attorney scheduled to be there at that time. Bond in that case was $1,000 cash or surety. All right, Mr. Fisk, apparently somebody's coming to bond you out. You need to be here this time. Your court date is going to be May 14th. I want you to call attorney Paul Gibson, your public defender, and discuss this with him prior to your pre-exam date. What is your address? Is it still Elaine Drive?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Again, I want you to call your lawyer, Mr. Gibson, make an appointment to discuss this. You got 2 weeks to do it. And make sure you appear your next time, or I'll set your bond at about $10 million and we'll hold on to you until we get the thing resolved. All right. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stickley. Next matter is People versus Kyle Thomas Miller. That's you, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Here with your lawyer, Mr. Ross Truckee. Also present is Melissa Halleck from the prosecuting attorney's office. This matter began as a larceny over $1,000, less than $20,000. It was reduced to a misdemeanor, larceny over 200, but less than 1,000. The matter was set for sentencing today. I wanted to view the videos and get the police report and to figure out what I was dealing with. My thanks to the prosecutor's staff. They got all that information for me, and I had a chance to look at it carefully last week. It was very helpful to understand all this. So, Mr. Truckee, what would you like me to know?
Note that Mr. Miller, since Your Honor last saw him, he's enrolled with PDH Contractors. It's an online program to prep for a general contractors examination. So he's working toward that goal in order to further his self-employment. He still maintains his own business. He's since moved from his father's home to a different location in Three Rivers. And the bottom line is, with the offense, Mr. Miller took it upon himself prior to the charging to contact the business owner, try to reconcile things. I believe the loading dock was returned, made its way back to CMS eventually. Mr. Miller didn't shy away from the idea that he took the loading dock. It was more of a whether I could or whether I couldn't. I believe that Mr. Miller was maybe misinformed or confused about the dumpster diving rules in the state here and whether or not he could take the scrap that was there. But I don't believe that this is a case where jail time would do any justice. I think that fines and costs would be appropriate. As I said, the victim received back their loading dock, and I would just ask the court not to find that jail time was appropriate in this case.
All right. Mr. Miller, I'll let you go last, but Ms. Halleck, what's your thought here?
Well, Your Honor, I did file a memorandum just simply because I had thought I would not be able to attend. Luckily, I could.
And I do appreciate those. You filed one in a couple of these this morning, and I greatly appreciate having a memorandum that's part of the file. It's not just an email, so I do appreciate that.
You're welcome. We do see a recent increase in some court involvement from the defendant with what I noted: disturbing the peace, plate violations, open intox, which are concerning. Other than that, not much history. So I don't know what's going on with the defendant. We're not asking for any additional jail time, I will say that, but he needs to do whatever he needs to do to make some changes so that he's not coming back here again, because he's not gonna keep getting these breaks. He's got some of these things resolved with some low-level misdemeanors. He did have a felony charge pending for a bit, so he really needs to do whatever he needs to do to get back on track. Sounds like he's doing that with this program. Hopefully he'll be able to take advantage of that.
Mr. Miller, what would you like me to know?
Well, Your Honor, like my attorney said, I think I was confused about the legality of dumpster diving in the state.
Stop. I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe that you're a thief. You were not confused about dumpster diving. You sneaked in there after dark. They were stealing scrap that was not your scrap. And you stole this 2,000 pound or 1,000 pound loading dock, which is not scrap. So if you're going to try to sell me that you were confused, you might as well bring your toothbrush, because you weren't confused. You were stealing stuff. You told them that you had permission from Jamie Clark to take the property, which you did not. He was explicit that you did not have permission to take this. It wasn't yours. You lied to the cops about it. And this wasn't a mistake. I don't know how you got this thing on your trailer. Melissa, can you screen share a picture of it?
Well, I'm not
Oh, you're not hooked up?
hooked up by Zoom.
All right. And it was only police work of the guys from Clark Logic who saw you at Little Caesars and connected the dots, and the cops did a really good job of following up on all this. And they found the thing where you left it over at this guy's house along with the scrap metal. So I could figure maybe you wouldn't know. It's not dumpster diving. This isn't trash. It's a recycle bin with potentially valuable metal in it, which could be worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and it wasn't yours. So I might be able to swallow that pill if we were only talking about the dumpster, but I can't swallow it for this loading dock. So go ahead and tell me what you wanted me to know.
I guess I don't know where it said that I told anyone that I had permission from Mr. Clark.
It says it in the police report.
That I never mentioned that once to anyone. I mentioned that I talked to Mr. Clark about returning it, and he told me to return it, and everything would be, he wouldn't pursue it. But I never told anyone that I had permission from him to do anything, Your Honor. I literally called Mr. Clark and wanted to make sure everything was all right. If it was an issue, then I'd be more than happy to return what was taken. But I wasn't trying to cause an issue, literally. Then Mr. Clark seemed pretty receptive of that and said, please bring it back. And this matter should be closed between you and I. And I said, thank you, sir. I guess that's all I have to say.
On January 31st, I was dispatched with a larceny complaint that had occurred on 1/30/24. Someone stole some scrap metal out of some bins, and they have video footage of the suspect. The Central Manufacturing Services employee drove by Little Caesars and saw the vehicle, a silver Ford Expedition with Michigan plate such and such, in the parking lot. The employee reported a female sitting in the vehicle, and they came and took your picture. It was after that that you called Mr. Clark. They advised that at about sometime in the evening after dark, the video surveillance caught the vehicle, a tan Ford Expedition with two ladders on the roof, pretty distinctive. They sold some scrap metal and a dock plate. The dock plate was roughly 6 feet by 6 feet and weighed several hundred pounds, estimated between $5,000 and $10,000 to buy a new one. The stainless steel was, the scrap metal was described as stainless steel sink, metal banding, and I-beams. One of the employees saw the vehicle at Little Caesars, and then they photographed you and that. We drove through an alley that connects Michigan Street to Liberty Street between 3rd and 4th Street. I noticed a large green piece of metal that appeared to be a loading dock in the backyard of that address on 3rd Street. They talked to Robert Curtis. He said all locals often bring scrap metal so he can deposit it and split the earnings. A man by the street name of Littlefoot dropped off the loading dock plate, claiming he got it from CMS after getting permission from Jamie Clark, the owner of Clark Logic. Robert did not know what Littlefoot's real name was. He explained he was staying near the intersection of Broadway and 12th. Then they got your pictures, so they came back and got it. So they interviewed you on the phone. I spoke with Kyle over the phone on the afternoon of February 1st. Kyle confirmed he took the loading dock plate, but claimed he had received permission from Jamie Clark to do so. Kyle said he was not at work, so I asked if he'd meet me at the police station for an interview. He agreed to come in and see me, but never did, and they submitted it for a warrant. So according to this, you told the guy where you took it, and you told Officer Greenhall that you had Jamie Clark's permission to take that expensive dock plate. And the scrap was not recovered. So after you had your picture taken by these guys at Little Caesars, you called CMH then. Anthony Miller provided an email about a man who called her, Aubrey Pelton, stated he took some metal out of a dumpster. I called, Kyle answered to confirm he took the loading dock, claimed he had permission from Jamie Clark, the owner of Clark Logic, who owns CMS.
Can I say something here?
Yes.
That I've never told Robert Curtis that I'd gotten permission in any way. I told him not to get rid of it, not to sell it, that I was going to talk to Jamie before I did anything with it. I called the police. I let them know that I was at work and that I couldn't make it in at that point in time. And that they tried to get me to come in a different time or whatever. And I told them that Mr. Clark had already told me to return it and everything would be fine. I never once said to anyone that I had his permission. He knows this. If you talk to Mr. Clark, he knows that I never said that to anybody. Like I tried to be very upfront. On the other end of things, there was no other scrap metal taken whatsoever. There was no stainless steel sink. I don't know what they're talking about there at all.
Well, you told me you took stuff out of the dumpster.
I took the dock plate, sir. That's it.
Well, you told me when I took your plea, you were dumpster diving, and you took stuff out of the dumpster. All right, I'm going to cancel your bond. You're going to go to jail, and we'll get Jamie Clark in here, and we'll hear his side of the story. But I don't believe you, and I think you're lying. So you're a liar and a thief, and rather than accept responsibility for any of it, you're trying to weasel your way out of it. You stole a 1,000-pound dock plate. Now you're recanting that you stole the scrap metal that they said you stole. And you can see it in the video. You can see all the stuff in some box on the front of your trailer. So you go to jail. We'll see when we can get.
That wasn't my trailer. That wasn't even my truck pulling that trailer.
The less you say, the better at this point.
Did you see the video?
I'm sorry, sir.
Did you see the video?
No, I didn't. But I'm telling you the truth. I'm not trying to wheeze. I'm sorry. I just need to go ahead.
All right, you can go to jail. We'll
What?
see what we can set up with Mr. Clark and Mr. Truckee. Bond cancel. Continued for the availability of Jamie Clark. And Chris Greenhalgh. Mr. Truckee, when are you here later this week?
Oh, well, I'm definitely here tomorrow.
I'm pretty good in the morning tomorrow. I thought I had pre-exams and Judge Pattison has them.
They're my pre-exams
Oh, well,
tomorrow.
you'll probably be tied up all morning. There's a lot of them.
Right, good. I can be here Wednesday early afternoon,
Let's see
maybe,
what we got.
or Thursday at 4 something, or Friday at any time.
Well, you've got pre-trials. Let's set it for Friday, May 3rd at 11.
And your honor is just wanting Mr. Clark's input.
Well,
or
I
his
want
presence?
what Mr. Clark said, and Officer Greenhalgh said, Kyle told me he had Jamie's permission to take it. And the other guy, Robert, who ended up with the stuff, which I believe also included some scrap metal, but now he's denying that he took the scrap metal, which he admitted to me at the time of the plea. This wasn't, some of it may have been dumped, but it isn't a dumpster. It's a scrap metal receptacle. And the dock plate certainly isn't something that I'm going to go take this expensive thing that the trucks use to back up to the place of business. And then later on, call the guy and ask him if it's okay if I keep it. They couldn't back any trucks up because he took it off the thing. So, and I'd screen share it, but it's maybe I will when we do the thing on Friday. It's not something that was easy to steal, and it wasn't his. He's showing zero remorse. He didn't even show up on time, and he's not telling me the truth. So we're going to bring the people in that may have some more direct evidence regarding this. So we'll try it Friday morning. We'll try to need to get Jamie Clark. It can be by Zoom. And Officer Greenhalgh. Call it a sentencing hearing. All right, thank you, Ross.
Thank you.